Hey, Christian. Okay. Hey, guys.
Hey, Al.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Indeed.
Likewise to you.
Hey, Errol. Happy New Year.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year.
How's everyone doing?
Pretty good.
Awesome. I think we are all here because Igor said he won't be able to make it and Roger said he won't be able to make it. So this is everybody. I did put up an agenda earlier today and I merged it just now. It just says OpenTofu in 2026. I don't have much to discuss. I think I have one thing I wanted to discuss, which is upcoming conferences. Just let you guys know some stuff. But does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss at all?
Actually, I do have one thing. Sorry, I didn't make it to the agenda. I can discuss that at the end, I guess.
We're at the end.
Had a user create a Terrarunt issue that they wanted special tooling for Terraform query. And I said, it's not our project. We're not going to add special tooling for this unless the OpenTofu team decides that they like the high-level functionality and decide to implement it themselves. So I don't know much about the feature. I don't know what it's useful for. I wanted to just raise that and see, is that part of the feature set that we're eyeing for potential parity, or do we think it's a not important feature?
So this is on my list of things that I wanted to write up. I think informally, talking to the OpenTofu maintainers, our opinion is that it's a powerful piece of functionality. The ability for, let's give some background first. The low level is that providers can now have a list resources endpoint that will allow you to list all of the resources of a certain type. So you can say to the AWS provider, list me all S3 buckets, and it will list them all. And the user experience side of things for Terraform, and in their case, is Terraform query, where you write query files where you tell it how you want to list things. So maybe you want to filter S3 buckets by tags. You then run Terraform query, and that will give you a file that you will contain a bunch of import blocks, and then you can run Terraform import to import of those into your infrastructure. So it's a way to bring in unmanaged resources into your setup. My personal opinion, and I think the team kind of agrees, is that the Terraform's implementation is very geared towards Terraform enterprise users and being wrapped in their fancy UI. And we think we can do something better built into import blocks in OpenTofu. And I need to do a write-up about this, but my proposal actually is that this is one of the features where OpenTofu will differ from Terraform, because I think Terraform has written something that benefits Terraform enterprise users and not Terraform core, and we should write something that benefits everybody. That does complicate things for Terragrant, though, because you got this split side of things.
No, like a new functionality for import blocks seems nice, and if it's in a way that's doesn't require a complicated external service to run, that seems good as well.
Yeah.
So, just a heads up, you might get a question in the OpenTofu discussions /issues /Slack from somebody asking about your plans there.
Awesome. Yeah, I love to discuss this with more people. I want to see more people's use cases. I will say it's really early days, and it's not super high priority because I think only the AWS provider has implemented this list resources thing, and only for about 6 of their resource types out of the hundreds. So it's still early. But it could be powerful if every provider gives us a list resource. We can start doing all sorts of cool stuff.
Cool.
Awesome. Christian, do you have any input on Terraform import and query?
Nope, just that I'm glad you're here because you have been kind of leading the investigation into what is available there.
And I'll include this in the notes for the TSC meeting. There is a HashiCorp ambassador that did a great blog post on Terraform search and how it works. And I recommend this over the Terraform docs because it's actually clear about how it works and what problems it's solving. So I've just shared that in the chat from Matthias Fjellstrom. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Matthias, and you're watching on YouTube. But they did a great blog post on it, and if you want to read some more into it, I think that's a great primer. Yeah. Well, if there's nothing else, I wanted to quickly go ahead, Christian. Sorry.
I actually do have something that I just thought of this moment. It's not super urgent, but it could be a test of one of our processes. So Larry and I spent some time back in October, if memory serves, looking at the contribution guidelines across our repositories. And he's got an RFC, and most of the maintainers have reviewed and approved it at this point. It's mostly minor stuff, but just kind of unifying our onboarding experience. Developing.md, contributing.md, where they source from, what questions they answer, what their focus is. This isn't a huge development effort, but it's just something that will help streamline onboarding onto OpenTofu and make other people's lives easier. I was curious if you think anyone from the TSC would want to weigh in on this. It's a relatively short proposal. But if neither of you care to look, that's also okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just merge it. I think I'll just merge it today.
I think that's fine. I don't think I'll have any like rejections for anything.
I guess I also have one more thing. So we did it. I followed the process. FYI, we got Terragrant also got a PR recently for LLM.txt. Made me think. I know OpenTofu development doesn't use any LLM support, but staying relevant in the post SEO world where people figure out things via LLM access is important. Do we either have an LLM.txt, want an LLM.txt, or have a rule against LLM.txt or similar thing for discoverability of OpenTofu content?
I live under a rock. What is an LLM.txt?
James, I'm sure, can explain it better if you can. Otherwise, I can try to explain it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
robots.
Yeah, so LLMs.txt or agents.md or whatever kind of, or Claude.md. There's so many standards. Everyone's trying to compete for standards. It's XKCD all over. I think all of them are very similar, but, or am I being corrected here by Yusuf because your face looks like I'm mixing up things?
I'm not very familiar with these things, but my understanding is they're not. So I believe like the Claude thing and the agents MD thing, whatever, they live in your repo and they're for developers to get better at writing code for your repo. LLM.txt is something that you expose, similar to robots.txt, like Lauren said, that allows external systems to get metadata about your product or service. So LLM.txt for OpenTofu would make it so that when Claude or Gemini or whatever tries to do a search about how OpenTofu works, it'll have like a well-structured document that could just be like one giant markdown file with everything that's relevant about OpenTofu, and then parse that data to give better responses for users trying to use the product. So it's not like it would require any LLM usage on the OpenTofu maintainer team or help that in any way. It's more for end users trying to leverage your product or service.
The .org website could definitely benefit from this.
Yeah, I think it's something we can add. It's cheap, it's quick. I wonder if Docusaurus can let us add something super easy, especially because we generate all of our website from MD files anyway. I can just link one of those to a LLMs.txt and we could do that. I think that's useful.
So for your awareness, the thing that was being recommended or being contributed by a contributor was a Starlight plugin that will like go through all your documents and basically stitch it into one giant markdown file, and then also have like some process by which they're divvied up, like a sitemap for robots.
Yeah, I think there's some advantages to it. The main advantage that I'm seeing a lot of people have is that they don't want bots crawling their entire website. They want to give bots a quicker way to crawl the website and not have to do, if they're doing things like server-side rendering of their documentation or something like this, they don't want to eat the CPU costs. They just want to serve up a file to LLMs. We don't have to worry about that too much using Cloudflare and its caching, and everything's fantastic for us on OpenTofu, but I can see it being helpful for a lot of others. The second part is that it's just a convention that's helpful, and I think it's a good way to go and do things. I've found that LLMs don't have a problem crawling our website. So just for an example, a while back, I added OpenTofu to something called Context 7, which is a documentation crawler, and it had no problem understanding all of our OpenTofu documentation, how to use things, core commands. But it's something we can help them with, and there's no harm in it, really.
Cool.
I almost went on a whole tirade about agents.md and Gen AI policies around code, and I didn't want to go into that today. So I'm glad it wasn't that. Maybe there's a plugin for Docusaurus, because we just use Docusaurus. It should just work.
Yeah, there is a plugin to generate one. I just saw.
Cool. Yeah, we can add that.
All right, James, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah. So at the end of this month, January 31st, is FOSDEM in Europe. And then immediately afterwards, there is Config Management Camp. So 2 conferences back to back. They usually go hand in hand. OpenTofu and OpenBow are sharing a booth at FOSDEM. And if anyone wants to join us, they're more than welcome to. And then at Config Management Camp, there is an entire OpenTofu track for half a day. I would like to share this. They don't have a horizontal scroll bar, so please bear with me. We are all the way on the right over here. But I just wanted to mention that Sebastian Salo is going to be there doing this. There's a couple talks. There's a talk by myself, but there's also a Q&A with OpenTofu maintainers. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only maintainer going, so it might be a really interesting panel. But if not, ask your employees if they want to go. Please join me if you have the budget. That would be very nice. Yeah, but it's nice to see another conference that's picking up OpenTofu, and I think they used to do a Terraform track in the past, so it's really nice to see them dropping that and going for OpenTofu. that was it. Just a FYI, and if people want to go, that would be helpful. To the more the merrier. Otherwise, I think it's just going to be me and Sebastian Stadl. Maybe Eagle's going. I don't know.
I do. Sorry, I thought of one more thing. This is going to be the meeting of one more thing.
Sorry, please raise your hand, Christian, using the little button at the bottom. Thank you. Yes, Christian.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Sorry. So there's this isn't OpenTofu directly, but I am keeping tabs on the CDK fork. So Terraform or HashiCorp shut down Terraform CDK, and there's a community spinning up around that to maintain and take the code in its own direction. I think given that the original project is shut down, it makes their lives a little bit easier compared to our situation. But this is not suggesting we're changing our commitment toward this project, but this is just letting you know that I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm in some other Slack channels, and hopefully it takes off in an interesting direction. But if you weren't aware, that's what's going on there. OpenTofu has publicly reiterated the previous commitment we talked about, which is saying if someone else forks it, we're happy to discuss compatibility or things OpenTofu can do to make that integration a little bit nicer. But we're not planning on keeping it under the OpenTofu umbrella, given that it is a fairly large project and that we have limited resources.
To that end, not this meeting, because I don't think we completely have quorum, and I'd like to hear more opinions on this. I was planning next meeting, so I think that's in 2 weeks, yes. Next meeting, proposing a working group for third-party tools for OpenTofu, supporting things that we don't maintain, and then explicitly saying, by the way, though we don't maintain it, we do want to help in terms of technical support and possibly supporting third-party functionalities, or at least giving a venue to talk about those needs of tools. I'll have a bit more to talk about in the next meeting, maybe a more formal proposal, and I'll add that to the agenda proper. But given that CDK was brought up, this was one of the impetuses of many.
I'd say don't ask for permission, just do it. I don't think anyone would have an issue with you doing it. Just do it.
I think notification, just keeping everyone in the loop with this sort of thing is good, but I think my more reserved suggestion is open a PR into the org repo suggesting this. We can give a thumbs up on it, help refine it, and get it going.
Announcement rather than proposal. Okay, duly noted.
Just looping back to the CDK stuff, super quick. I've been talking to a couple of the people who are working on the fork. They're not in a super rush to go and do this, but just because there hasn't been an update to CDK in 2 years, they don't think they need to rush out a fork, which is, I think, fair enough. They've got time to go and do this. They did ask me if they could use the OpenTofu name for whatever they fork it into. And I said that whilst they're happy to go and do this, I'm not a trademark lawyer. The trademark belongs to the Linux Foundation, and we can't take things under the OpenTofu name quite easily without also bringing that into the Linux Foundation. And so it's tough for us to go and say, yeah, go and use this. But I did go and tell them that they probably don't want to go and name things TF or Terraform because HashiCorp has lawyers and trademark lawyers. And they'll go through the same naming fiasco that we went through, and I sent them our old naming post. I've also said to them if they ever want, they can have a call with any of our engineers if they need help with anything. But I think most of the work that they're going to be doing with the forking is around generation of clients and documentation, and not so much around the actual calling of OpenTofu. That's easy to fork for them, apparently. Yusuf?
And do you know if they need to talk to Amazon about the CDK trademark?
As far as I'm aware, what they've said publicly is that they are talking to the original people. They've told me they're talking to HashiCorp, and they told me they're talking to other companies. Because I think what they would like is, rather than a fork, they'd like a friendly handover. So we'll see how it goes.
I think we should definitely not give a blessing to do something that we're not sure that we can give a blessing to do.
Mm-hmm. I've said I can't say you could put anything under the OpenTofu name. You definitely can't put anything in the OpenTofu org. But I've said engineers are happy to help with a little technical help if you need it. That's all I said we can do. So we'll see. I know that they have a foundation that's already in place. The OpenC something foundation. And a few companies are getting involved, and they're talking about it at an organizational level. It is interesting to keep an eye on, though. They're friendly guys. Cool. All right. I don't have anything else. I think we're all done.
Cool. All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Good
Bye.
seeing y'all. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. To figure out how to end the video call.
Yeah, I'm going to stop.